This is Top Accolade Global News Updates. I am Soybifa Jackridge. Germany faced strikes on the three fronts on Thursday as train drivers, airport security workers, and Lufthansa ground staff walked off the job, spelling further headaches for millions of travelers in Europe's largest economy. The strikes are the latest in a wave of industrial actions to hit Germany, where high inflation and staff bottlenecks have stalled wage negotiations in key parts of the transport sector, including national rail, air travel, and public transport. Train drivers began fresh strikes at 2 a.m. on Thursday, with national rail operators Deutsche Bahn warning travelers that it could run only a small fraction of its usual services. During the previous strike in late January, Deutsche Bahn was able to operate 1 in 5 services. The latest walkout, set to last 35 hours, marks the beginning of rail strikes planned by GDL as it pushes for reduced working hours at full pay. Deutsche Bahn has accused the union of refusing to compromise. Airports in Frankfurt, Germany's busiest air hub, and Hamburg cancelled their departing flight on Thursday because of the striking security workers. The Airports Association ADV said strikes aviation sector was damaging Germany's reputation as a center for business and tourism. It's estimated that Thursday's strike would affect the travel plans of more than 250,000 people. The Verdi union is organizing that strike as well as another by Lufthansa ground staff on Thursday and Friday. Further woes were brewing for Germany's flag airline after its cabin crew voted on Wednesday to strike, with the UFO union representing them assessing next steps. Reporting its annual results on Thursday, Lufthansa warned that strikes were one of the factors that would lead to a higher than expected operating loss in the first 3 months of 2024. Alabama Governor Kay Ivey on Wednesday signed into law a measure aimed at protecting in vitro fertilization after the state Supreme Court ruled frozen embryos should be considered children, prompting at least 3 Alabama providers to halt the procedure. Both chambers of the state Republican-controlled legislature passed a proposal protecting IVF providers from both criminal charges and civil lawsuits after brief debate on February 29th. In a statement on Wednesday night, Ivey said IVF was a complex issue, no doubt, and anticipated there would be more work to come. But right now, I am confident that this legislation will provide the assurance our IVF clinics need and will lead them to resume services immediately, she said. Republicans nationwide have scrambled to contain backlash from a February 16th decision by the Alabama Supreme Court, whose elected judges are all Republican, that left unclear how to legally store, transport, and use embryos, prompting some IVF patients to consider moving their frozen embryos out of Alabama. Democrats have seized on the Alabama court ruling as evidence that reproductive rights are under assault. IVF involves combining eggs and sperm in a laboratory dish to create an embryo for couples having difficulty conceiving. The Alabama High Court issued its ruling in response to 3 families' lawsuits against the fertility clinic and hospital for failing to properly safeguard their frozen embryos, resulting in the destruction when a patient impromptu accessed them. Novo Nordisk, its fortune soaring on sales of its obesity drug Wegovy, said on Thursday it was expanding its forces on diabetes and weight loss therapies to include cardiovascular disease treatments. CEO Lars Frogard Jorgensen, speaking as the Danish company hosts investors and analysts at its headquarters near Copenhagen, made the announcement in the company's first strategy update since Wegovy exploded in popularity. Jorgensen said Novo was changing its corporate strategy to replace other serious chronic diseases as a focus area with an explicit targeting of cardiovascular disease. The change comes after the drug maker last August said a large study has shown Wegovy also had a clear cardiovascular benefit, boosting efforts by the company to move Wegovy beyond its image as a lifestyle drug. Wegovy is part of a class of drugs that mimic a gut hormone, GLP-1, that helps regulate blood sugar and appetite. The cardiovascular benefits of the drug have stirred a debate about whether the long-term medical benefits of weight loss drugs are enough to reduce the overall burden on healthcare systems and the cost of treating heart diseases in overweight and obese people. Novo shares were up 1.3% at 0843 GMT shortly after the capital markets day began. They are up around 15% since the company reported full-year earnings on January 31st and have risen more than threefold since June 2021 when it launched Wegovy in the the United States. Lufthansa said on Thursday it is quitting Australia's major auto lobby and resigning from its board, accusing the group of misleading consumers over the government's proposed fuel efficiency standards and the potential impact on car prices. In a later address to Australia's Federal Chamber of Automotive Industries, FCAI, Lufthansa said the country's biggest auto industry body has repeatedly made claims that are demonstrably false. Until recently, Australia was the only developed country apart from Russia to either not have or be developing fuel efficiency standards. The current centre-left Labour government, which won power in 2022, plans to develop a fuel efficiency model that aims to limit the average carbon emissions of new vehicles sold from next year. That could prompt manufacturers to send more EVs to Australia and further boost adoption, putting the country in line with standards adopted in most other developed economies. The FCAI on Wednesday said the government had opted to impose a fuel efficiency standard with extremely aggressive targets and severe penalties to be effective on very short notice from January 1st, 2025. This could cause significant disruption for large sections of the industry and result in fewer choices and higher prices for consumers, FCAI said. The government has closed consultations on its preferred model and is aiming to introduce legislation later this year. From overhauling online platforms to backrooms engineering, Google, Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Meta, and TikTok owner ByteDance have scrambled over the last 6 months to comply with landmark EU tech rules that come into force on Thursday. The Digital Markets Act is one of the most comprehensive regulatory actions to rein in so-called big tech and is expected to reshape the global technology industry after decades of unfettered growth. Criticism from rivals and users and cautionary comments from watchdogs suggest a couple of the 6 companies may be in regulatory crosshairs over potential non-compliance in the coming months. If any of the 6 tech giants are not compliant with the Digital Markets Act, DMA, by the EU's Thursday deadline, they could face fines up to 10% of their global turnover. Apple is the most affected by the DMA, which forces the iPhone maker to open up its closed ecosystem, such as allowing software developers to distribute their apps to users in the European Union outside of its own app store. Yet, its introduction of new fees such as a core technology fee of 50 € per user account each year, even if developers opt not to use Apple's App Store or payment system, has already caught EU antitrust chief Margaret Vestager. Rivals such as Swiss email service Proton, meanwhile, have said Apple's compliance efforts do not go far enough. With 8 core platform services subject to the DMA, more than any other company, and despite putting thousands of tech engineers to work on its compliance efforts, Alphabet, Google, also runs the risk of a potential investigation. The company's mandatory overhaul of its search results will benefit aggregators such as Booking.com and Expedia, which will gain more prominence and hence online traffic due to their intense lobbying with Google. That is the size of top Escalate global news updates. You can follow us on our social media platforms as displayed on your screen. Happy Thursday.